Hi, my name is John Grimwood. I am a graduate assistant over here at the Exercise Physiology Lab at Illinois State.
I'm Alex Wolf, and I am also a graduate assistant in the Exercise Physiology Lab. If you were going to do a Wingate test, you would do that test in order to get a good measure of your overall anaerobic power. You can also use this test to measure something called fatigue index, which is how fast a person fatigues. Materials that you need for the Wingate. Obviously, you need a cycloergometer, which is what we have behind us. You will need several plates if you're using an ergometer such as this that is plate loaded. You will need a stopwatch, and you will need multiple people to do multiple jobs. You're going to have multiple people motivating the client in order to push themselves to max.
All right, so when you're doing the Wingate test, you're going to have the client sit here on the cycloergometer. What you're going to have them do to warm up first is they'll warm up by pedaling for about 5 minutes. About every minute or so during that warm up, you're going to have them bring the RPMs, so revolutions per minute. Just going to have them pedal almost as fast as they can, not quite to max, for a couple times, usually for about 15-20 seconds every minute or so. Then the last time, after about a total of 3, is when you'll have them bring their RPMs up, pedal as fast as they can, and then when they say they're good, they're at their max, you're just going to go ahead and drop the weight, and then they will be pedaling 30 seconds for as fast and as hard as they can. The weight you're going to drop on will be their body weight times 0.07 in kilograms. So you add that weight to the front, drop it, and then you will be counting how many revolutions they make every 5-second interval. Now that we've talked a little bit about the test and explained the protocols and the things that you'll need, let's watch our client Anthony go ahead and perform the Wingate test.
While you guys are watching this video of Anthony perform this Wingate, what we want you to do is try to count the revolutions per minute that Anthony completes in 5-second increments. So every time his foot goes to the bottom and is parallel with the floor, count that as 1 revolution per minute.
So one of the biggest things about this test, like Alex mentioned before, is you want to have multiple people there to actually encourage the client. You want to be cheering for them, urging them on for the entire 30 seconds. Yes, it is only 30 seconds. It doesn't sound like a long time, but when you're on there pedaling for as hard and fast as you can, 30 seconds is going to seem like a long time. So it is a maximally exhaustive test, and it will be much more enjoyable and exciting if you have people there cheering you on, get more engaged.
It is also important to have a cool down immediately after the test is over. So as soon as the test is done, the 30 seconds is up, you will lift the weight off of the flywheel and then remove all of that weight. And then you will have the client or the subject continue to pedal for 3 to 5 minutes in order to take them from an exercise state back down to a resting state, help clear that lactate.
In order to determine the subject's peak power, you will take the highest number of revolutions in any of the 5-second intervals. Normally this happens in the first 5 seconds. You will take that number of revolutions, multiply it times the distance traveled with 1 revolution, which is going to be 6 meters. Multiply that by the force. The force is going to be the weight that you apply to the bike, which is going to be 7.5% of the subject's body weight in kilograms. So looking back at it, the peak power formula is revolutions in the highest 5 seconds times distance times force.
In order to determine mean power, you'll need to take the sum of the revolutions times the distance times the force. So the total number of revolutions times the distance of the flywheel, which is 6 meters, times the force applied to that flywheel, which is 7.5% of the subject's body mass in kilograms.
In order to determine the subject's fatigue index, you're going to take the lowest power from the 5-second interval with the fewest revolutions, divide that number by the peak power. You're going to take that number and subtract it from 1, and then multiply that total by 100. This is going to give you a percentage. So again, the fatigue index is the 1 minus the lowest power divided by the peak power multiplied by 100.